call this meeting to order. The Topeka Development Corporation, Board of Directors.
Mike.
Mike.
Sorry, Mike. Sorry.
I thought you were just saying hi, Mike. So, Brenda, do you call the roll call, or does, okay,
Fully. Okay, we have Board President Padilla,
here?
Board Vice President Dobler,
Here.
Directors Valdivia Acala,
Here.
Ortiz, Emerson,
Here.
Kale, Nager, Hiller,
Here.
Duncan,
Here.
and Hofer. All right, we have 6 present.
Okay. Moving on to the updates in financials. I believe, Freddie, is that your piece here, sir?
Do you want to do the approval of the minutes, Mr. Mayor? Or
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
President,
I
sorry.
didn't see that. That's all right. Okay, I'm going to back up for a second. Afraid I didn't see that. Next on the agenda is approval of the October 19th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Mayor, I move approval.
Okay, motion to approve by Director Emerson. Is a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Director Duncan. All those, I'll have to take a roll call. Okay, can we do that? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, the minutes have been approved. Now we'll move to the financials. Freddie.
Right. Mr. President, board members, in your package, you'll probably have a financial statement as of September of 2023. This document is roughly 300-page long. So in the next slide, I did my best to try to summarize that into the most concise information that I could. So this is the outline that I would like to go through. One is discuss with you the purchase price in the summary statement, the property tax and tax valuation, as well as financial information, once again, as of year to date, September 30, 2023. Slide. All right, so this is the purchase price summary statement. So the total cost for the hotel was $7.7 million, and this is breaking down into, let's call it, the big buckets. The purchase price was 7.6 items. We had a few receivables, policy premiums, closing fees, title companies, but we also have some operations, some inventory, and if we divide the debits and the credits, we have with a total price of $7.7 million. Slide, please. So this slide shows the property tax and the valuation of the hotel. If you looked to the right, to the bar chart, you'll see that the appraised value of the hotel back in 2014 was roughly $60 million. And this valuation is decreasing over time, where in 2023 it was valued at $3 million. Now to the left, the same bar shows the annual property taxes for the property. This includes all the tax entities, City of Topeka, Shawnee County, USD, the state. And we can see that, once again, the property tax payments for the hotel has diminishing over time, starting in 2014 at roughly $650,000 to currently a little under $115,000. Slide, please. All right, so this is pretty much a summary of the 300 pages.
Thank you.
And your total revenues for the hotel as of late September was $3.5 million, with a total expenses of $3.7. So the difference between the two is the net losses that the hotel has received during that time. So the number of the rooms for the hotel is 224, which is one of the largest hotels in the city. The occupancy rate is 36%. And the revenue per available room, which is one of the key significant metrics for the hotel industry, is roughly it's just under $36. At this point, you have any questions regarding the financial information, valuation, or the closing statement?
questions for Freddie from the directors? Can't see if anybody online got their hand up. No? Okay. We'll move forward then with pardon, oh, Karen, I can see.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick one. First, a comment that I don't think I've ever been given such complete financials, and it was kind of reassuring that we could look at that, and also the summary of all the detail in that summary from the hotel itself was you could read through that and pretty much know what was going on, so that was good. My question is the RevPAR, what kind of occupancy level is it that do they have to be at to make that kind of money, or how is that calculated?
So the RevPAR is revenue per available room.
Right.
So that is obviously you're going to have it's net of your total operating expenses and the revenue that you get. So if you charge $100 for a room and you have $70 of expense, your revenue per available room would be $30. So that's how that is calculated. So I will tell you, $35 is not a high-performing hotel for revenue per available room.
Thank
But
you.
one thing I will try to keep in mind is that in the market, at least in Topeka, we have a wide variety of type of hotels. You have from boutique hotels with a very high RevPAR to underperforming smaller hotels, and this one is underperforming, but this is one of the largest hotel in the city. So that's why the occupancy rate is relatively low. So in this case, it's not necessarily fair to compare this hotel with the overall market just because of the size and the current condition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We move forward now with the 4B, Hotel Condition Assessment.
Thank you. So the group led by Schwartz Design Group is performing its condition assessment, and that was all of the major systems of hotel, roof, HVAC, building envelope, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. That final report is due to us on December 1st. They did provide us the 600 pages of working documents. I've had a chance to go through some of those. For example, the structural report overall looked really good. Great, in good structural condition. They identified one area on the roof that we had a leak. That area we identified, shared that information with the chief engineer, and he has okay, and the chief engineer has remedied that problem. There was a condensate line for the air conditioner that was just literally draining onto the roof, causing puddling there. They've taken and extended that condensate line over to an actual drain on the roof, so now the water is just going directly into a drain as opposed to ponding and pooling on the roof. So I'll have more for you as of December 1st when I get the final report of the condition assessment. I'm not sure what the deal is with the microphone or the sound system, because my voice is not fluctuating by 50 decibels every other second. Any questions on the, one other thing I will say, we've had now 2 meetings with the regional manager for the hotel. On the weekly report that the city manager has shared with you, there is an executive summary that has been provided to you. On the back page of that is a list of 20 CapEx items that have been identified. We have discussed the top 4 of those that are health safety, life safety issues. One is the obsolete lock system is at the point of failure, where the RFID key cards oftentimes will not hold their charge from the front desk to the room, and the guest has to come back. We're at the point where, and we only have 2 key chargers, oftentimes one of which does not work. If both of those were to go down, we would not be able to rent rooms. That's a $91,000 item. We are going to direct the staff to go ahead and replace that, so we will have a new key system throughout the entire building, as well as we will key the inventory rooms that right now are left to a key, which doesn't have a record of who entered into the room, so you don't have a good system for control of inventory loss. The other major life safety issue that we're going to immediately go with them on, and we've gotten bids on these items, is that 72 of the sprinkler heads in the hotel are non-functioning based on the last report. That's a life safety issue, to have sprinkler heads that do not function due to age, obsolescence, or corrosion. So that's $7,000 to get all of those replaced. They are, just so you have a heads up, the HVAC actuators in many of the rooms do not function. We've asked them to get bids for us on that, as well as bids to replace the non-working pumps in the fountain in the main atrium. When we get that information, we will share that with you. Any question on hotel condition assessment and where we are on that?
Questions from the directors?
Next item that we'll address is the asset management services. This is RevPAR International. I had my kickoff meeting with them on October 16th. They have 6 weeks under their contract to perform the phase 1 services, which is basically to take a deep dive into the hotel and do an initial assessment to develop an overall strategy, to identify a pool of potential developer buyers, to look at deal structure, as well as management and branding. Middle of December, I should have their initial report. They are going to be on site next week. We are going to be meeting with them and the hotel management staff to give them an opportunity to physically tour, ask questions of key staff, as well as to do the initial review of the proposed 2024 operating budget.
You said they're going to be in next week?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Freddie and Richard and Amanda and I are going to be meeting them Tuesday morning on site.
Good. Thank you.
Any questions on the asset management services?
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the 5th item on the agenda.
Thank you. Next item is a review of the management agreement, the HMA, Hotel Management Agreement, that we are entered into with TOKS and Associates LLC on October 31st, shortly before closing on the purchase of the hotel. As I had reported back to you in October, at our meeting in October, the material deal terms have not changed since that. There was a lot of time spent by attorneys quibbling over different provisions in the contract relative to indemnification, what employee was a major employee, how many days notice do we need to have, how many days notice do we need to have for the operating budget, is our consent, or if we don't acknowledge the budget, are we deemed to have approved it, or are we deemed to have denied it? So there was a lot of time spent on that, but the material deal terms that I described to you in October did not change in terms of the final contract. And just to refresh your recollection and for the benefit of the viewing public, the material deal terms include a management fee, which is a greater of 3% of total revenue, or $10,000 a month, an accounting fee of $1,500 a month, an information technology fee of $350 per month, plus $1,520 per year, $1,520 per year, revenue management services of $1,499 per month, an HR benefit admin fee of $1,045 per year, plus $80 per employee per year. All of the insurance, including commercial general liability, property, workers' comp, fidelity, crime, employment liability, cyber liability, is all purchased as an operating expense of the hotel by the GF Hotels entity. They're able to leverage their nationwide business in terms of the hotels that they're managing across the country. Our insurance broker and our risk manager commented that the extent of the coverage and the cost of the coverage is far better in terms of what they had than if she had to go out and price it herself. Then the other thing I wanted to point out was all of the hotel employees are employees of TOKS Associates and not the Topeka Development Corporation. There was a provision that their counsel demanded in terms of confidentiality, which is it's subject, the terms of the management agreement are subject to confidentiality. However, Kansas Open Records Act would override that. If there was a request under Cora for the document, would have to be provided. But that's why the document is not, was not put into the agenda packets that was provided to you separately. And then there was a concern about the authority, what authority or limitations of authority did TOKS Kansas have? And the general rule is we have given them a very broad grant of authority to be able to buy things and to manage the hotel, because if you can't buy toilet paper, if you can't refresh maid service, you can't function, right? And Freddie and I do not need that phone call every day saying, can I restock the soap dispensers, right? So the general rule, broad grant of authority. However, there is a strict prohibition on the following items that require prior written authority of the owner, and that is entering into an equipment lease, entering into any contract with an affiliate of GF Hotels, any contract with a term longer than 1 year, any contract with a value greater than $20,000, and any loan or credit agreement. And with that, I'll gladly stand for any questions that you may have on the management agreement terms.
Any questions for Braxton? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion of property tax exemptions. We can hear my voice really well, and I don't know why yours isn't working.
You changed mine.
Thank you. Taylor, it may be helpful to put up on the screen the property tax valuation and the tax valuation and the property valuation slide that Freddie had, which was, yes, exactly that slide. So as a policy matter, and I'll let Amanda chime in on the legal aspect of this. As a policy matter, the city of Topeka could ask to have exempt from the payment of property tax Hotel Topeka, as it's owned, wholly owned by the city of Topeka and being held by that Topeka Development Corporation. This is a policy issue. The city of Overland Park for 20 years has been paying property tax on its hotel. And there are a number of reasons for that, not the least of which is they did not want to provide a competitive advantage to their hotel and a competitive disadvantage to all of the privately owned hotels that would have to pay real property tax. The other issue with this is our goal, at your very clear direction, is to find a private for-profit developer to take the hotel over. And in terms of judging the performance of the hotel, in my mind, it's more helpful to leave it on the tax rolls so that you can clearly see what the tax implication of that is. So when the developer comes in and builds their pro forma, there is no question about the property tax. Now, there is provisions in Kansas law that would allow for a tax exemption to be granted for a limited period of time. That is another issue, but that becomes possibly a deal term in terms of attracting a developer, right, to be able to offer incentive package, which would include a TIF, a CID, a property tax exemption, issuing IRB to help fund the cost of the renovation of it. Those are all tools that we could use to help attract a developer and put together a package that's going to make sense for the developer to make this a profitable venture, because otherwise we're not going to get a developer who's coming in. No one is going to buy this hotel to run it at a loss. Okay? So this is not a policy decision for Freddie and I and Richard to make. This is a policy decision for the board of directors of Topeka Development Corporation. Do we seek a property tax exemption, or do we continue to pay property tax? I think it's incredibly important for you to realize that given the poor performance of this hotel and the rundown condition that it's in, currently it only has an appraised value of $3 million, and it's only paying $112,000 a year in property tax. The goal, obviously, is to get it back up with an appraised value in the $25 million range and paying $1 million of taxes a year, right? So it's a completely different, in terms of the scale of it, it's a different discussion today than it's going to be 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, whenever we can get a developer in to take this hotel over.
Director Emerson.
Thank you, President. President Padilla. I guess a question on that, would this, if we're exempt, would it just be for property tax, or would it also be for purchases of things consumed in the operation of the hotel?
So that's a great question. First off, since the title is held by the Topeka Development Corporation, that's an instrumentality of the city, it would be the Topeka Development Corporation that would be applying for the property tax exemption. There is case law from a case out of Shawnee County, the League of Kansas Municipalities versus the Board of Shawnee County, that says instrumentalities do qualify under municipal exemptions such as the Topeka Development Corporation if the property is exclusively used for governmental purposes. So even if you decided to apply, the appraiser could disagree with that, and we would have to decide how much you wanted to fight that or not. There is case law that supports that this is a municipal purpose when it's wholly owned and you're using it and running it and taking all the liability expenses. That is separate from a sales tax exemption. Instrumentalities also qualify for sales tax exemption, so that could also be a policy choice. You could apply for a sales tax exemption. There are limits on what that can be used for. It's not a wholly no sales tax on anything, but it can be used for some things. But that would be a separate policy decision if you wanted to apply for a sales tax exemption.
Okay, thank you. I guess my position is that our taxpayers just within the city of Topeka have taken on this, well, we voted and took it on their behalf. They're the only ones paying. They're not, no one out in the county outside of the, let me take that back. Everyone in the city is also county resident and paying county taxes, but I don't think Shawnee County has brought any money to this or has any other taxing entity. So I think since our people, since our citizens of Topeka are the ones funding this entire deal, I think it's frankly kind of silly that we just pay out money to these other entities that are not at risk and haven't done anything thus far here. So I'd be in favor of doing the property tax exemption. And I guess my thinking on that is it's pretty simple calculation for someone that's going to buy it to say, okay, once we have it, it's not going to be tax exempt and it's $112,000 a year now. Or I would be against though doing the consumption tax because that would be much harder. That would make it much more murky of how the entity's doing because of all the small transactions you would have. But I guess that's where I am.
Director Duncan.
Thank you, President. Counterpoint. I agree with most of what Braxton laid out. I think in an ideal world, I think we still are hoping that a year from now, by the end of next year, this is not our hotel, right? That we've made that transition. I think that that's a pretty minimal payment that we'd be making, a portion of which, yes, goes to those other taxing entities. We still want to be good stewards of that property. I think one of the concerns people had when we made this purchase was, oh, see, they're going to take it right off the tax rolls. And I think that was a valid concern. I think by showing them, no, we're committed to pushing it over to somebody who's going to run it, keeping it on the tax rolls, letting that individual then decide what their plan of action is. I support that a little more. And it's easier to support that, quite frankly, at $112,000 than if we were talking about $1 million. You know, that makes that decision for me a little easier. But I'd prefer we just keep it on the tax rolls. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, Director Dobler.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it might be a compromise position, and that would be to go ahead and make that $112,000 a payment in lieu of taxes that only goes to the city. I assume we can probably do that, and that would true up the books for those folks that are coming to look at what it costs to run the hotel. But as Member Emerson noted, it wouldn't be rewarding entities that aren't really doing anything at this point. So I would offer that suggestion. Thank you.
City Attorney,
Whatever I am.
how quickly does that decision should be made in us deciding which way we were going to go?
Well, it just depends on how quickly you would like to make an application. I mean, tax statements do come out. They're due in the beginning of December, end of December, something like that. And so whether or not you would get it approved before then, who knows? But it just depends on how quickly you would like to try to get it off the tax rolls.
Director Duncan, do you have something? And then you?
I just wanted to clarify. So under that plan, the idea would be we ask for the exemption, but essentially contract with ourselves a payment in lieu of, it's guaranteed that the money would still come back. Okay, as part of that. So then okay, I don't know whether that's good for him, but I mean, I can live with that.
Tony?
It's the spirit of.
Thank you, President.
Tony.
Yeah, I would, that's a great idea, Director, Vice President Dover, and I'd fully support that if we can do that, so, yeah.
So if I may, would the motion be then to direct the city manager to have staff seek the exemption of a real property tax, as well as to then develop a payment in lieu of to the city of Topeka equal to the amount of the property tax that would be exempt?
President, that was exactly what I was going to move, so I move that.
Okay. If it's necessary, let's repeat the motion to make it clear by Councilman Emerson. Tony?
If you need the motion repeated, I believe the motion is to have the city manager and staff seek the property tax exemption, but also develop a payment in lieu of taxes in an amount that is equal to the payment of taxes that would be abated.
Okay.
Yes, so moved, Mayor.
Okay, is there a second? Second from Director Kell. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take the roll call vote.
All right. Directors Hiller,
Yes.
Valdivia Aquila,
No.
let's see, Emerson,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Dobler,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
and Padilla,
Yes.
and then Director Ortiz.
I'm not a director, but my vote would be yes.
All right, we have 7 yes. Motion carries.
I just had a point of clarification
Spencer.
question. I never asked this when we created this board, but I think I know the answer. Unlike when we have a city council meeting that requires a set votes, as this is a board, is it just a majority of the quorum? It doesn't matter for this vote, but a majority of the quorum passes a vote, or is it a set?
I will double check the bylaws, but I believe it is a majority of the quorum, but I
Okay,
will double
just
check.
feels like a good question to ask for future reference. Thank you.
We have nothing further, President.
Thank you, Rex, and I appreciate it. Is there any other new business for the board to consider? Any other new business for the board to consider? Okay, seeing none. And I have not been notified of anyone who signed up for public comment. There is no need for an executive session. Okay. This meeting of the board is adjourned.
Couple minutes, so I can look my